Welcome back to another fun-filled episode of Black Opinions Matter, motherfucker. My name's Amin Hassan. I'm joined as always by Blk Tray, Big Jerv. This is a big Waz week, and guess what, guys? We brought the band back together. My guy Mariano Bivens is back on the show. Produced as always by Rob Lopez. I'm gonna be honest with you. I have a very excited voice right now. I'm a very happy voice in this intro. This ain't a happy podcast. I mean, we try to find some joy, but it's tough. We're going to talk about DMX's life and legacy. Obviously, this is a guy that we all loved and missed and grew up with his music and really appreciated what he brought to the table. I brought a special guest, one of my best friends in the world, Elite. You guys might know him from his production work on Dreamville, but Elite, formerly, he's got to start with Ruff Ryders. So we're going to ask him about DMX, working with DMX, some fun DMX stories. And we're just going to remember the man's legacy. We're not going to talk about the negative stuff. We're going to talk about the positives when it comes to DMX. And then later on the show, Daunte Wright. I know you guys have probably seen this in the news already. A young man who was murdered by Minneapolis police this last weekend for the crime of hanging too many air fresheners. I mean, you can't write this shit. It's just so fucking ridiculous. So we're going to get some stuff off our chest this episode. Bear with us. As always, patreon.com/countthedings. Become a Patreon. That's where we get all the extra content as a thank you to you guys, including we have another overflow this week. We're going to talk about Snowfall. We're going to talk about Kyrie Irving, why he got so mad that then Schröder called him nigga. We're also going to talk about some other stuff in there. So you definitely want to join us for that. Patreon.com/countthedings. If you're not a member, join up, sign up. Beyond the BOMM Overflow episodes, we also have the Cinephobe special edition episodes, the Cine Feud, where me and Zach go head to head on trivia about some of the awful movies we've watched. You have the special edition episodes about certain things happening each month. We had in February, we had Valentine's Day. In March, we had St. Patrick's Day. April, we're going to celebrate 420. So you don't want to miss the special edition 420 episode that'll drop on the Patreon for our Patreons only. Definitely do it, guys. Trust me, it's worth it. But anyways, enough selling into you guys, enough pressuring you guys to help us out with good reviews and all that stuff. Let's get to the show. Let's go ahead and welcome Elite in, and let's talk about Dark Man X.
I missed you and me.
Oh man, the streets miss me. But the streets miss somebody more important than me. We miss DMX, man. I think I'll be honest, man. A lot of people passed away over the last, couple of years. Here, Chadwick Boseman, a couple other names, Kobe, obviously. I think DMX is the biggest reaction I've seen since Kobe, in terms of people passing away, because he was just a dude like Kobe. He's like kind of larger than life. Like X would be fine. And unlike Kobe, this dude lived a crazy ass lifestyle, like a lifestyle that has a short life expectancy to it. But for some reason, like I thought he's going to be like Keith Richards and the Rolling Stones. Like it don't matter what they do, they're going to be alive forever. Yeah. And so for him to have, even when he was in the hospital, say he's in critical condition, I'm like, he'll be fine. He's X. He's gonna be fine, man. They can have a funny story about it. You're gonna talk about meeting God or whatever, and it didn't work out. And so I think, I don't know about y'all, but for me, I'm in shock. But I did want to have my friend Elite on, because y'all know him obviously from producing tons of hit records for Ari Lennox, for Cole, for all types of artists, but before that, he lived another life where he was a Rough Rider. And Elite, let me ask you first, man. Did you ever have to ride a motorcycle? Like, did they ever make you ride like a four-wheeler or something just to prove you were down?
No, fortunately not. I managed to avoid that, but yeah, it was an option, just wasn't a requirement.
Elite, it feels like Dreamville and Ruff Ryders as rap camps don't have a lot in common. Am I wrong to make that assumption?
You're complete, it's complete different vibes, different, same principles, but like different execution, you know what I mean? Like very different, for sure. Yeah.
I knew it was different when I saw that video of Boss on the ATV. Like, what was it? Was a slingshot? He was on one of them fucking weird ass motorized
three-wheeler joint.
And
he bought the first day he bought it. He drove it all the way to the crib and crashed it as he got into his gate. So therefore had to bring it right back to get it serviced. First day.
Yeah, that's how I knew it was different. That was the day I realized there might be
I mean, you got to know it's different when you listen to Styles' piece on Holiday. It's different from like just, anybody that has that in their camp is like, nobody.
Did Styles go to jail for stabbing somebody in the ass?
Allegedly.
Mm-hmm.
Allegedly.
I don't know. I don't think I dove that deep into that. But, you know what I mean?
I rewatched the Ruff Ryders Chronicles. I did not notice that story pop up. So.
Yeah. You know, ironically, with that being with us highlighting the Ruff Ryder Chronicles early on in the year, was it early on in the year or was it last year?
Last year. It was like 2020,
I can't even keep up with the times. But ironically, we got a scope into how he got, on drugs and, the demons that he battled and obviously the career that he had and obviously the up and downs and then also the wins and being at the peak. So it wasn't really, I guess, crazy to me, you know what I'm saying? But also I didn't know him personally enough to use the words that I'm at peace, to have that personal connection with him to say, as Swiss B said, my brother is finally, transitioned and is good. But as a fan and someone who consumed his music at 13, 14 years old, you know what I mean? Like between 98 and 2003 was my entire high school years. DMX was like pivotal, you know what I'm saying? And I used to be like Ruff Ryders versus Cash Money all the time. And then obviously his prayers, me relating it as far as in Christianity and things of that nature, like, and also relativity as far as drug use and my mom being, in that situation. Everybody's battles is different. And I felt like no matter what X was dealing with, you know what I'm saying, from the outside looking in, he was embodying everybody else's, but not his own sometimes. You feel me? And with Swiss message, the other day that he put out was like the time that he was actually, I guess, safe or had some peace of mind was when he was in jail. And that's kind of crazy because he couldn't use... He had time to like really think and just focus and kind of be him, I guess. And that's kind of a wild scenario.
That's one of the reasons I wanted Elite here, because you brought up something in our group chat, Elite, where you brought up the lyric where he said he came back, he was gone for 7, he came back at 14 or whatever. And it's a crazy kind of thing to think about, someone who's spent their life basically institutionalized.
Yeah, I mean, that lyric alone, I mean, I was saying, I think it was in Slippin', right, when he said that, and I was like, that sounds like, if you just heard that song, you didn't know DMX's story, it sounds like a made-up rhyme. Like, come on, man, you went to jail at 7 and came back at 14. It sounds like some over-exaggerated rap lyric, but it's like, no, he really did, and it's like, that's, I mean, I don't know. They say it was like jail. I don't know what they say that the home that he went to was basically like for extremely like troubled youth. And it was pretty much like a prison, so to experience that from age 7 to 14, I mean, that just puts you in a whole different league of like trauma, that I can't even begin to understand what that would be like.
So Ellie, what was your first experience, after you joined Ruff Ryders? What was your first experience with X like?
Oh, man. Well, I had a couple. Well, the first was, I remember I was at the studio because I was an intern at first. Now,
that's what I was about to ask you. How'd you get involved with Ruff Ryders? And then how did you find your way to start working with X?
Yeah, well, basically, I did a summer program with my school, SUNY Purchase, which is, Westchester school. And Dean Wa's younger sister, Alima Dean, she was in the same, it was a music class, and she was in the same class as me, and we met through there. So she kind of took me under her wing and got me an internship and ended up managing me, but got me an internship at Powerhouse in Yonkers, which was the Ruff Ryders studio. And I was like, 19, I think at that time, maybe 18. And, at this time, this was around the time they were working on Scorpion for Eve. So that's how I always mark it by that album. Cause I remember when I came in, they were all talking about that album. So, X was already like super, super mega, like the mega X years were kind of already done. And like, he was still at his, he was still huge, obviously, but, it was a little bit later on in the timeline, and it was like rumors were that X was going to come in for a studio session at Powerhouse, and he didn't usually use Powerhouse anymore because like he had graduated to like super megastar, and like at that time Powerhouse was for like Drag On and like Jin and like Infrared and Cross and like these guys who were sometimes Jadakiss would come through, but even that was like, oh shit, like so. One night we had a rumor that X was going to come through, and they made the studio look all nice. They had all the snacks, all the food and everything. And I was so excited. Like I made sure I was there on time. I was waiting the whole night and he never showed up. I was like, damn, man, where's DMX? So anyways, I didn't end up meeting him for a while. But what happened was I got to go on tour. I actually produced a song for him and Bizarre Royale that was on his album Year of the Dog. Bizarre Royale was signed to Bloodline. That was DMX's label. And that was like a track that basically, I wasn't in the studio or anything when they made it. I just did the beat. They did it. And I became real close with Bizarre Royale because we were both there for the mix, and he was real cool. So we became real close. And Bizarre was opening up for DMX. So he invited me to come on tour. And I was just like, oh shit, all right. So this is 2007, Year of the Dog tour. First night, first show in Philadelphia. First song, DMX gets up on stage. Within like 20 seconds, somebody, I guess, threw like water on him from the crowd, and he just jumps off stage and beats the shit out of this guy. And
sounds about right.
It was crazy.
Right.
Wait, what was even crazier though, not only was that crazy, but like he gets back up on stage and like he's like, I guess some people just don't know. And then the DJ dropped Who We Be. It was like, wow. And the whole place just went crazy. I was like, this guy is a superhero. Like, what is going on right now?
The fact that you could beat somebody's ass and then go back to performing is nuts.
But the transition is so smooth. That's crazy. Like, that's the smoothest transition ever. Like I guess they just don't know. And then it's like, Who We Be. That's the song. Exactly. That's really the song. Like, that's insane.
I give props to the DJ because I don't think that was part of the set. I think he just.
I was gonna say, is that part of the set? That's crazy. Imagine DMX showing up and just beating up a random nigga in the crowd.
I'm gonna tell you this.
I'm gonna beat up a nigga in the crowd. Then you gonna play Who We Be.
Right.
It's gonna be a nigga that's gonna throw water on me.
It's 2007, and that was my first introduction to him. Like in person.
I think I was there.
For real? In Philly?
I think I was at that shut up. That was kind of lit. That was kind of a fire show.
That was you?
Yeah. No.
Jerv that got washed up by X.
No, I definitely didn't get washed.
But side note of the story, fuck the media, how they trying to write my man X off like that. He's officially on the no slander list. Relatability as far as like drug abuse and fuck drugs, first of all, with all caps. You know what I'm saying? It's one in every family. You know what I'm saying? Relatability. You got an uncle, you got a cousin, you got a mom, you got an auntie, you got a friend that, you know what I'm saying? It's a sick disease that, obviously the show we're going to talk about later is highlighted pretty much and ruined. But what I seen and what I noticed, after X passing was this nigga real name is Random Man X. And the reason why I call him Random Man X because everybody had a DMX story. It's kind of similar to like Nipsey because like he was that accessible. Like right. I seen where the nigga actually went into a Waffle House and made an omelet.
I got one of those stories.
Like, what are you doing?
What you got to leave? Give us
I got one of those. So, I mean, the main thing about X that I took away from being on tour with him was like how, he was mega famous, like there are some people who are famous. There's some people who are mega famous. He was more famous than I think he was successful at that time. It was like, he was so famous. Anybody who saw him, it was like, oh my God, it's DMX. So everybody would come up to him. You know, he was so approached like so often, and he was so present. Every time somebody would approach him, he'd never brush anybody off. He'd never give them like, oh, okay, what's up, man? But he would like stand there with you, hear everything you have to say. Anything you gave to him, he'd give it back to you the same level of love, you know, and that really stuck with me, you know, like, damn, this guy is like so grounded for being so famous. So what happened was we were in Kansas and we're just standing outside the hotel. It was like me, X, Bizarre, and maybe like 2 other people. And some fans come up. They're all like shocked, of course, to see DMX standing on the street in the middle of Kansas, you know, and they're like, oh my God, DMX, ah. And he was just like, where y'all going? And they were like, oh, like shocked, you know, they're like, oh, we're going to get sushi. And he was just like, all right, let's go. And just starts walking with them. And we're like, all right. So we all start walking with these random fans to this sushi restaurant, like down the block. We all go in, we all sit at the same table. DMX is sitting there with this group of fans, like eating sushi, like, and not like, it wasn't fake or like, you know, it didn't seem like performative. I mean, he was really enjoying himself, really having a good time with these fans, laughing, joking. The staff was coming in, he was having fun with the staff, took pictures with everybody who was working there. Like, and of course he got the bill, like he paid for everyone's food. Like, I mean, I was just like, imagine being those fans and coming home with that story. Like we saw DMX on the street and he came and ate sushi with us.
That sounds crazy.
I imagine DMX eating sushi like fucking Tasmanian devil, where he just takes the tray. He just takes the tray and just lets it all fall in his mouth, bro. Like he's not even
good.
Could you imagine DMX using chopsticks, bro?
No, that's insane.
Yo, did he use chopsticks?
Man, I do remember. I think he was not quite into the cuisine, you know what I mean? Because he liked like Denny's, like he would go to Denny's, Burger King, like that was his like speed, you know, like he wasn't like going to sushi spot. I think he was just doing it on some like, fuck it, let's go chill with these fans, you know? Like
that's fire. Something you said that stood out to me was when you said he was more famous than successful. And I think that's part of the conflict of like the bigger artists, where it's like we see them on TV all the time and we see them selling out this and that, and it's like they're way more famous, but the success is, you know, it's not really there. The thing about DMX that I always appreciated was like his gratitude, because when you speak about him being grounded, that's what keeps you there. Like you still so far away from where you want to go, but you know where you came from. And it's, shit was way worse before. And I know I got a long way to go, but he seemed to embody that a lot. And I think that's why a lot of people like genuinely just like loved X and rooted for X, because through all of his struggles, all I ever saw was people root for him. And like Amin said, nah, he gonna be good. It was never like jokes or like, you know, not from us, not from like the real, like we support X. It was like, nah, he gonna come back from this, man. He gonna be good. That's X. We always had that love for him. So like just to hear you tell that story is like, it just kind of, you know, brings that point home for me. Like that's
Mark,
real.
let me ask you, Mark. I'm glad you brought that up, because I saw a lot of people the last couple of days saying like what Trey said, fuck the media, da da da. I'm like, maybe I'm just following the wrong people. Maybe I'm following the right people, but like I felt like overwhelmingly the reaction was great stories and love and stuff
New York
like that.
Times was trash, fam. And they did
him dirty.
They did him dirty.
Oh yeah. No,
they posted his foreclosures. You know what I'm saying? It was basically spitting on the grave, fam, and like it was really disrespectful.
That's what people were talking about. Yeah.
I thought the Daily News did a good job because they highlighted obviously homie old boy from across the country. I mean, in the other country, and then they did because they said Prince and then the Prince of Yonkers, and they did a split cover, and I was like, that's classy. But when you highlighting New York's own, you know what I'm saying? Like, obviously, I'm on ground zero here. You couldn't go anywhere without hearing X for the past fucking 48
hours. And I think they did that when he was still in his battling, like fighting for his, for his life. Like they did that in the middle of that. It wasn't even, at any time it's tasteless. Let's get that clear. It doesn't matter like what point, but it's like,
New York Times could do whatever the fuck they want. I was alive in 97 when I first heard 4321. I'd never heard of DMX, never heard him before. And his verse it's like his cadence, his voice, I was like, what is this? And then of course, he drops Get At Me Dog, which just, that shit was a fucking explosion in New York City. I don't know, I can't speak for the rest of the country, but in New York, it like they were like freaking, it was like folklore that like clubs would tell DJs, you can't play this song because people start breaking
to get too crazy, fam.
You know what I'm saying? Like DMX, like that whole movement, that shit was just, it was all encompassing in New York, like the whole Ruff Ryders thing. And, you know, I swear like 40 million niggas got bikes after DMX and them started popping, right? Like it was so, you know, New York Times could do whatever the fuck they want. I was alive. I remember this guy's impact. And, you know, in 1998, that's when Hov obviously sort of had his ascent. He dropped Hard Knock Life and all of those things. And he famously sold 5 million records. And of course, Puff was, Bad Boy was still pretty freaking on top of the world. And here comes this dude who is talking about being homeless and sticking people up to eat. And his shit is the biggest shit in the game, right in the middle of like fucking Jiggy era. You know, that's what I'm going to remember about fucking DMX. That guy was a freaking alien from outer space, bro.
He made good Christian robbery music. That was it, bro. You know what I'm saying? Because you could get God and then you could stick somebody up and then ask for forgiveness at the end of the CD.
Yo, like, but Waz, you said 4321 was the first DMX.
The first time I ever heard DMX was on that verse.
That was before Pull It.
See, I heard.
I think Pull It was after that.
Okay. Pull It was after that. I heard Get At Me Dog first. It was on a Clue mixtape, and I was just like, who the fuck is this? Because it was just the energy was just so different, right? And then 4321, and then Pull It was the one with Cameron, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And never made an album.
And then I think I want to say the first single was Ruff Ryders Anthem, right?
Mm-hmm.
Off the album.
Yeah,
that was like
Get At Me Dog.
I thought Get At Me Dog was the first single off the album.
Because you got to remember, me saying that the video, if you have epilepsy or whatever, you can't watch.
Yeah, because they shot at the tunnel. They shot at the tunnel, and it's all black and white. Hype Williams did it all black and white, and it was like it wasn't a video. They just basically brought cameras. That was an actual, you know, a lot of times the video. They just filmed
a performance.
Do performing live, but it's not really a live performance. This one was like truly a live performance, and it just shot it in black and white. Elite, what was the first DMX track you heard?
It's got, hearing y'all talk about it, it all kind of blends together for me. I feel like it was probably 4321 because I mean, I love that song so much. I was a huge Cannabis fan. I remember I had this mixtape. It was called DMX versus Cannabis. I don't know if any of y'all had it, but that was like how I became like a DMX fan. It was like all the freestyles, and DMX and Cannabis and Noriega had a freestyle on Funk Flex where it was the three of them, and they all like did verses back and forth. And I remember listening to that nonstop. I think that was before his album came out. So, you know, around the same time as you guys.
For me, I was intro to DMX off Harlem World. Take What's Yours, 24 Hours to Live. 24 Hours to Live was crazy. I said, who is this nigga? He barking on this motherfucker. I said, oh, nah, 12.
That video is crazy too.
First of all,
he
popped out the mud. And
you got 24 hours to live, right? Like it was Kiss on the.
Where did you go? Kiss had a crazy verse on there. But the fact that I was exposed to him around that time, and like again going into that tour, right? I got introduced to obviously Ja Rule through Hov, and then also, you know, DMX through Mace. But that 98, which was my 8th grade year, bro, getting It's Dark as Hell is Hot and then Flesh of My Flesh in the same year. I know I know people talk about Hov all the time and all this other shit, but DMX was 1998. Like, worldwide. Like, I know I can't imagine. I can't even like process in my mind what New York was like in 1998. But to even have the West Coast ear.
A lot of Averex jackets.
I'm sure. But I'm
Advances around
and Vasquez boots.
But like, think about that though. Like, to imagine to grab the West Coast ear after Post Pac and have us locked in and like, yo, This nigga got a motherfucking dog chain on. He got the back tat. He grimy. Like, he painting the fucking picture, but also like the struggle. He not flashy. Cause you know what I mean? Like, niggas is on the fence. We was just now welcoming that shit. So to see it was exciting. The energy the nigga he was the first nigga to actually make hype music for the layup line, fam.
Dog.
Like, Ruff Ryders anthem, my nigga. I mean, AAU trying to like bang out.
Yeah. That nigga was like he was like every East Side Detroit nigga like ever. Because like, you know, in Detroit, I always say we had the benefit of like not having a dog in the fight because like we wasn't part of the East Coast, West Coast, the down South, or whatever. So our radio played everything. We heard everything. And when DMX came on, my very first memory of DMX was like, one of my homeboys was a huge Cannabis fan. So when y'all say 4, 3, 2, 1, I remember that song like just off the top because he used to play nothing but Cannabis all the time.
That was me.
So when I heard, I'm telling you, it was like every single time he'll be like, "Hey, put this on." I'm like, "Son, is that?" He was like, "Yeah." I'm like, "All right, man." So, but with X, what stood out with him was like, you got to remember too, like me getting older. I got friends and family that's in New York. He's from Yonkers, like not the main. You know, Harlem, Brooklyn, none of that. Yeah. It's Yonkers, like kids call it the forgotten borough. You know what I'm saying? Like people don't put that in the forefront, and for him to take over like that means something because it's like, nah, that's undeniable right there. Like I don't care where you are in the world, when you hear his music, you're gonna feel it. Like it's different. Like he really just was different, man. Like
I think
that shit is crazy.
When I would first listen to him, the thing that stood out to me, just I was in high school, so I was a kid, and this was all like hearing these things to me at this time was like, you know, a lot of rappers were talking about killing people. They're talking about robbing people. That was like the theme of rap at that particular time that I was listening to. Of course, there was the flashy stuff, but then you had like all these other, you know, there was other artists that were doing this at that time. But I remember as a kid, when I would hear that stuff, I'd be like, all right, this sounds like stories. Like, you know what I mean? These sound like kind of fictional stories of people kind of enacting these things. When I heard DMX, that was the first time that just as an outsider, an observer, you know, from the suburbs, I'm hearing this and I'm like, this sounds like this is true. Like this guy is saying he killed somebody and I'm believing it. You know what I mean? I'm like, he might have actually done this. Like, he was just so
and the crazy thing is too, Ali, is he like so much shit that I didn't realize at the time. Like he put a lot of like jail culture in his raps, right? Like when he talked about, you know, every time he come around, I got to get my dick sucked or such and such would have got fucked on the yard or whatever. I'm like, yo,
all right, man,
this is different.
I would tell you, man.
But it was real though.
Yo, go back and listen to Where the Hood At. I was like, I don't know if I can play this at the loud volume anymore. I used to love that song. And I'm like, was he on this? I mean, y'all niggas having sex with the same sex.
Oh, hey, that song right there, my nigga. I was listening. I was going down a X like wormhole, bro, and I'm just sitting there. I was just like, my nigga, that song right there. I said, yeah, this ain't flying. And then also the movies, right? So I watched Romeo Must Die. Then I went to Cradle to the Grave. That shit wouldn't fly in 2021. He had me hot in Cradle to the Grave though. It was one scene, and y'all probably seen on the Instagram story where the nigga ran. He was getting chased by the dog, and a nigga ran up the wall and hit a flip, and the dog ran up with him. I almost broke my TV. I was like, nah, y'all niggas is wild.
To be fair though, Trey. To be fair, I feel like if you sign up to watch an action movie, the more ridiculous it is, the better of an action movie it is.
Let me tell you something. Y'all know I have a podcast called Cinephobe, man.
Yes, absolutely.
Let me tell you something. Trey, when I saw an Action Jackson, my man drove a Ferrari up the staircase and then around the hallway in the house. That was the day when I realized anything can happen, man.
Yeah,
this
bro,
man, Action Jackson.
The scene where he's on the quad, bro. That nigga was riding that quad through everything. I'm talking about it was like a 5-minute chase scene of the niggas just riding it through a warehouse where niggas are just moving out of the way like, oh! He over there jumping.
Mr. Gall could never.
Hey, he was jumping and leaping bounds across buildings in a quad. I'm like, all right, bro. Y'all got me.
And to me, that's how big of a star X was, that he did get into the movies, right? Like people were so drawn to his personality that they were like, yo, why don't you come act in this movie? Why don't you like play some type of, detective or cop or action hero? It's crazy. It just speaks to his magnetism, man.
In the case of Belly, why don't you just play yourself?
So I feel like he played himself in all the movies, though.
Oh my God, man!
Nah, but Belly
was a superhero, so let's just go play a superhero.
Belly was X. Belly was X for sure. Like
nigga had a leather trench on with leather pants, nigga, and some nasty. So listen, he had some nasty butt naked Timbs on. Them shits was patent leather, damn near. I was mad.
That's what they wore in New York, bro. New York niggas was rocking them butt naked Timbs, dog.
Oh, man, stop it. Stop it.
Hey, I ain't gonna lie. Jerv been choosing violence all day, man.
No, I'm gonna tell you something. Jerv, you wouldn't even know what Timberlands were.
Exactly.
What are you talking about?
Look, y'all wonder why I take my shots because of that arrogance right there. Y'all wouldn't even know what Timberlands were if it wasn't for you. Really fuck out of here.
Y'all would have still been rocking Dickies without us, fam. The capri pants.
Hey, no
y'all would have still been rocking capri pants without us, fam. I remember that.
No Dickie slander, bro.
Y'all still would be copping them 7X jerseys from the bull on the corner. The fake joints. If it wasn't for us, we had Mitchell Ness. Y'all were rocking the joints with the spider on instead of the NBA logo.
Real quick. You at home playing Philly bingo right now. He just used bull and joint right back to back. So just check your card and all that. You know what I'm saying? He used that right back to back.
1996, we went on a road trip down to Philly. These cats would put satellite dishes on the top of their houses just to pick up Hot 97. They're like, oh shit, I think I hear Flex. Oh,
guys are crazy.
But you road trip to us though, right? New York City. Let's not leave that part out. You came and visited us though. You know what I'm saying?
Nah, but
sometimes you want to go out to the country. You know, just see how that happens.
real quick, just to get back to Belly, like the scene in Belly, period, right? Like it's a lot of classic moments in the movie, but my favorite scene in Belly, period.
Is there?
No, it's a lot of classic moments because what I'm talking about is like
it's not a good movie, but
hold on.
No.
They're classic moments.
There's a difference. Classic moments. That's what I'm trying. Yeah. So the moment when he was in the car, and he was like, "And Shorty can't eat no books, man." Like that's one of those things. And then he told him, "You put the weed in the bag, then get money." Like that's X. Nobody wrote that. I guarantee you, nobody wrote that line though. Like they couldn't. There's no way.
When in the restaurant.
You gonna
let this nigga talk to you like that?
Nah, look, he gassing. He ad-libbing it. Like that's why his
opening scene when they all just walking through the club. It's slow motion, but that's the illest part to me.
Coldest open ever
of any movie. Because I saw those first few moments and I thought to myself, "This could
see
be
what I'm saying." He just said, "Is there?" Yeah.
But we later on in life we realized they blew the entire budget on that open, which is why it was dark as shit.
That and Ox's weed supply. That was it. That's where the budget went. Like it was like 90-10.
And that was definitely not. That was
sometimes you got to have the necessities.
Absolutely,
they went authentic with it.
Absolutely, man.
They definitely went authentic with it. Yo, Elite, leave us with some lasting memories of X, man. Like as someone who knew him, how do you think he'd want to be remembered?
You know, I don't want to pretend like I knew him like that closely. You know what I mean? It's not like I was like his best friend or anything. You know, I was around, as like a shy kid who was kind of just observing, you know what I mean? Lucky enough to be, and, you know, honored to have worked with him a few times, but like, I don't know, man. I mean, it's a tough question for me to answer because, I think genuine and authentic is the best words that I think, you know, everyone says real, you know what I mean? But it's like just transparent is to me what he is, you know, like that's what makes a superstar is like someone who's unapologetically themselves, you know, like where, I mean, to him, it was like, it was extremes, you know what I mean? It was super extremes. As a viewer, it was like, okay, you're either like on top of the world or you're like in jail doing some crazy. It was so extreme one way or the another, but it was like all on the table for everyone to see. And that was like a sacrifice, you know, that a lot of superstars make for us as like viewers to kind of sit there and just watch and be like, wow, this is amazing. Watching this like extremely bright fire burning out, you know, and it's like, I don't know, I think as observers, it's like sometimes we look at it and then we're like, this is awesome, but at the same time, it's like, is it? Because this is kind of like, you know, like this person is sacrificing their experience for us as viewers, you know, and it's like, obviously this happens a lot. This is not just like a DMX thing. I mean, this is something that happens in our culture a lot, you know what I mean? Like with famous people, especially people who are bright, burning superstars like this, like a Whitney Houston or Michael Jackson, you know, it's like this is a repeating thing that I think we should look at as like, is this cool? You know what I mean? That like this is happening to these people and like nobody intervenes. And can you even intervene? I don't know. But I don't know, man. I'm running on a tangent. But like how he want to be remembered, I don't want to be, you know, like I can't speak for that. But I do think that how I will remember him is just being 100% authentic and courageous as hell too. You know, he was a courageous person. And I think he had a lot of balls, you know, and I respect that about him. And he was super honest and he gave his life for us to kind of watch as viewers. And I think that's pretty cool, you know?
Sure. Well said, bro.
Beautiful.
Thanks a lot. Yo, thanks a lot, Elite. You know, I appreciate it on short notice you coming in here, man, and dropping the knowledge and giving us.
And also before you get out of here, every single time I see the word Elite anywhere, it's that I always hear it in my head, like elite every single time, bro. Like without fail, bro. Like so,
I can't even call players elite. Oh, he's an elite.
Elite.
Yo, I'm gonna give you 30 seconds to say whatever you want to say about the Knicks, because Elite is the only person other than Proof who's like the most delusional Knicks fans in the world. Elite and Proof, they go back and forth. So
I feel like I'm not that delusional, man. I think I just enjoy. I get a lot of flack in our little sports chat because I'm enjoying this season, and everyone's like, "Oh, but we're not going nowhere. We're not developing your young players." And James Dolan, da da da. I agree with all that. I don't like James Dolan. I don't like the long term, but I'm just having fun this year. I mean, it's a fun team to watch right now. Like they're playing defense.
Did you or did you not give RJ the new nickname Star J?
I'm trolling when I was saying that.
No, you're not.
He's kind of killer though. I ain't gonna lie.
That's fire. That's fire. Yo, where'd he go to school?
Oh, fuck out of here, Jerv.
I like RJ, man. People give him a hard time. Like I feel like he's judged unfairly. I think he improved a lot this year. He's shooting like he improved his shot. He plays defense. Like what do you want from him? He's doing good. He's 20 years old.
Elite be posting stats like since Anthony Edwards talk shit about.
He cost me some money. He cost me some money on a parlay a couple weeks ago, maybe like last week against Boston. I had like Boston -3, and he hit a 3 at the end. But I forgave him for that because he's really good at basketball. He's really good. So no, that says a lot.
Yeah. Shout Elite. Thanks a lot, bro.
Yeah, thank you guys, man.
Appreciate you, bro.
Yeah.
No doubt.
So let's talk about it. Daunte Wright, 20 years old, murdered, I should say, by police in Minneapolis, almost a year to when the George Floyd murder happened. Not too far from where the George Floyd murder happened geographically. He's pulled over for, I'm gonna be honest, I did not know. I mean, I guess I should know, being black, everything's illegal. Air fresheners from your rear view mirror, that ain't legal? Did any of y'all know that wasn't legal?
I did not know that.
I knew it's illegal to have like a certain amount of stuff to hang from your rear view mirror, but I also just didn't think motherfuckers gave a fuck either.
Also,
because I have shit hanging from my mirror right now.
Everybody does.
I thought that's where it's supposed to be, but you know, I don't know.
They make it for it to hang from there.
Yeah. I'm like, what are we doing?
I think you can have like one or some shit like that, but I don't think you can have.
My nigga, that shouldn't come. That shouldn't.
No. I'm just saying.
I know.
Please don't. Not me.
Yeah.
I know that. I'm not trying to loop you into that, but I'm gonna say this unapologetically. Fuck the police, bro. And listen to me, because I'm fed up.
Yeah, go ahead, bro.
I got homies on the force. I got all these other people. You know what I'm saying? I understand people got jobs and they got to do what they got to do. But this ain't a job where you can make mistakes or say my bad. And in this particular case, you accidentally grabbed your gun instead of the taser. No one does that shit. You know what I'm saying?
And listen, this is important to note. Held it for mad long. Let's let's say that held it for long enough to know, oh wait, this is not the gun. I mean, like, this is not the taser, this is the gun. Like, you had time to know this. And if you've been trained and you carry this shit out here, you know what you're grabbing.
It's not even the same trigger.
It's not the same trigger. It's not the same grip. And
it's supposed to be on opposite sides.
It's on opposite side. Like, how you so bad at this where you don't even know your left and your right. And most importantly, when you pull it out, that bitch is bright yellow. Shit look like the coal right here. It look like these.
Right.
Like, you should know. It should, like, your eyes be like, what the fuck am I holding? Right? If you hold up something black, like, I should be seeing yellow, and I'm not. And so, again, I go back to, if your thing is like, well, this job is stressful, and if you knew, and like, well, then don't do the job.
Yeah, it's not for you. It's not for you. This is not a job for you to make mistakes. You're to protect and serve.
Go to Walmart, nigga.
Not take anybody's lives. You know what I'm saying? In a situation now, you got a mother without a son. You got a son without a father. You got I don't know if he was engaged or whatever, but, his partner does not have a partner. And that's unfortunate because this young man was 20 years old, lost his life. He even called his mom like, yo, I'm about to get pulled over. We shouldn't be dealing with this. We're almost approaching, I think, a year of, the George Floyd situation. And nothing has changed, honestly. It's like, okay, we get things smoothed over, right? The things that we supposed to be happy about. Most of us are vaccinated on this call. We're expecting to have a good time outside. How are we going to have a good time outside when still these things are happening? I don't feel safe going outside. You know what I'm saying? I don't feel safe driving a car.
Even when you all the way legit, bro. Like, I'm all the way legit, bro. I don't speed. I don't do none of the, whatever shit. But when I see a police officer, the feeling that I get just in my stomach, in my soul, is just like, man, I hope that they not in a bad mood today and just feel like fucking with me. And I shouldn't feel like that, because first and foremost, the police, when you think about the police, right? Like, right now, if there's a disturbance in your neighborhood, if there's something going on in your neighborhood, if you don't think that you can handle that situation, you call the police. Like, and I'm talking about the average citizen, 9 to 5 person, man, woman, whatever. You call the police to handle it because you don't think that anybody's around is equipped to handle it, right? How are you supposed to feel confident when there's a coward on the other end of that call that will pull somebody over that poses no threat to them and take their life for nothing? Like, there's no
air
immediate danger.
I wish, you know what I wish?
Crazy,
I wish they had killed him because I had a bad day, or the motherfucker license came up with it. Like, the fact that you pulling people over, anybody over an air freshener, man, but that's what we go back to. We talk, and it feels like we always in reruns on this goddamn show when it comes to this shit. But we talked about it a year ago. I told the story about the guy who had a friend. He grew up, and his friend joined the police force, and he went on to be a journalist. And one time he said he ran into his friend, and the guy was like, yo, we should go on a ride along. And he said, on the ride along, all the nigga kept talking about was like looking for some action. And he'd hear shit on the radio, and they like speed just to get to some place, just to fuck shit up. This is their attitude. They're looking to fuck shit up. And so that's the only reason I can think of anybody getting pulled over some air fresheners. Bro, if that's a law that does not need to be enforced.
It does not need to exist, bro.
Why?
All, bro.
What is 10 air fresheners? What does that do? Does that impair my vision?
So here's a takeaway from this, though. Although this did not happen to anyone that we know personally, we, as in Black people, have to deal with this on the after effect. You have your colleagues, you have your friends that are not, Black, asking you, are you okay? Is there a conversation? No, bro, this shit happens. You think about the unnamed, the non-media coverage. This shit happens every fucking day.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And then obviously we get the DMs, we get the messages. Hey, can we talk about it? We're inheriting trauma. You know what I'm saying? Revisiting this. And it's unfortunate that Black people are forced to explain the reasoning of why we should still be here.
You know what?
Our existence.
You know what I wonder when people ask me this shit? Where the fuck were y'all last year? For like anyone asking the question now, did y'all just wake up out of a coma? Let's forget about 1492 up until 2019. I'm gonna let that one slide. Maybe you were just in your own bubble.
Right.
Where were y'all 2020?
But
y'all missed all of 2020?
But also too, I want to say this, and this is like important to note, is like when we make just small statements, and I'm not talking about the institution of like Black Lives Matter, none of that. I'm talking about just the statement itself, right? At its core, we're telling you that Black Lives Matter. Stop taking these Black lives, like just don't do this shit just because you woke up on the wrong side of the bed. My thing is when you see us standing up to stop Asian hate, stop all of that, nobody, we didn't come out and say, stop all hate. No, like, bro, we focus on this right here, right now, because this is what's going on. This is important. Let's not like forget this. Let's not like downplay this because there's other shit. Let's focus on this. Yes, let's give energy to that. And it all comes back to this. Like it's us when we say Black Lives Matter, when we say the cops are doing this, everybody tries to, but you got to think. And it's like, no, we don't know because look at this. And they're like, that was the past. It's not the past, bro. It's happening right now, every single day.
Every day.
And it's getting to the point where it's like, who's going to be the next one that we, with the hashtag on social media and shit like that. It's getting to the point where it's like, I don't want to say we numb to it because every single time this happens, I feel it every single time. Like, I don't want to say that, but it's becoming so normal that it's like, again, bro, like again.
I'm going to tell you some shit because Tray said, you're afraid to go outside, right? Like we're about to go outside now. It makes you feel like, oh man, this shit coming back too. It's still nigga hunting season out here. You know what's funny? I'm sure Jerv, you feel the same way. Tray, you feel, Mara, you feel the same way. I'm not scared about me. I feel like I'm gonna go outside. I'm gonna do what I want, man. Like, and if this shit happens, it happens. But I'm scared about my kids. Like, how do I explain this? How do I prepare my kids for this?
For that. Yeah.
Because part of me is like, this is something we're going to have to talk about for sure. And then part of me is like, man, they're kids. They're happy. They're just having fun. Like, Mari, how old is your oldest?
She's 12.
Have you had the talk yet?
I haven't because I don't even know. Like, I don't see an opening to like go and just be like, hey, I know you just like on TikTok and shit, but let's talk about the police. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
that's how I feel. Like, I'm like,
what you're saying is 100% right.
Should I shatter their childhood and let them know, like, hey, you can't trust cops, you can't trust white people?
It's different for us. Like, it's different. I think the most difficult part of that conversation will be telling them that it's different for us. Because then it would be like, what do you mean it's different for us? And I'm like, oh, man. What I mean by that is if you have a friend of a different skin complexion and a different, race, they can get stopped by the same officer and this may go this way. But if you get stopped let's not lose this, right? Because it's not just Black men, it's Black women. We've seen this happen too often. Sandra Bland, like we've seen this happen. So it's not just, if you have a son, it's like, oh man, my son. No, like Black people. We're talking about Black people.
Are you Black? Yeah.
If you Black, absolutely. So it's like, but again, I just haven't found that, and I think that's the difficult part when you talk about that, like having that conversation with your kids is like, where do you even find the opening to say that? We shouldn't even be thinking about shit like that, man. Like we should be thinking about preparing our kids for like high school, college, getting a good job or doing this or like things you should look for, as far as like hobbies and what are you into? We should be doing that like regular shit, not telling them that if you're just literally minding your business, and this is not hyperbole, if you're minding your business, the police may come kill you. It might happen. You have to prepare yourself to have that conversation with your kids because you have to prepare yourself to understand that is the reality first before you even have that conversation with a kid. Like imagine teaching your kid about basketball, bro. Like imagine explaining the game of basketball to your kid. You know how hard that is? It's adults that don't know about the game of basketball. So I'm talking about something that's super like on a small scale.
Imagine explaining the game of basketball to your kids and you start with flagrant fouls.
Right. Absolutely.
Like, before you get
team fouls versus a personal foul versus a like
And that's the game of basketball. That's something that's so regular that it's like, yeah, let's talk about this. Like, it would take you so long. And now I have to tell my kids about, like, people that are supposed to help you. How am I ever supposed to tell you to call the cops if you're in trouble? If the first introduction you get to the police is me telling you they may kill you, even if you're right, even if you call them for somebody bothering you, you may be killed. Like that, though. That shit is like, it's getting me tight. Like,
yo, you know what? I'm usually numb to this, but what was the biggest fuck you today was when they let that flag fly. They raised that flag and let it fly proud. The blue lives matter flag at the Brooklyn station, and not Brooklyn, New York. Don't get it twisted.
Yeah,
in Minnesota. But it was just like, so that's how I felt.
But it's that's what it is. It's a war. They're telling you we at war. This is our flag. This is the flag we fighting under.
Yeah, and they're taunting us. And they're taunting us because you're not really blue when you clock out or when you sign out for the day. You're a person again. I'm black. Period. No matter what line of work I choose, no matter what day of the week it is, I'm blackity black. I'm black. Like, I'm black, bro. You not blue. Like, get the fuck out of here, bro. You not blue.
Also, let's point out, like, even if you is blue, nigga, you chose that shit, and you could choose to stop doing it.
Man,
I ain't got no choice in that shit. I have no choice in it.
At all, bro.
Literally live in the nicest neighborhood and drive the nicest car.
I'm still a nigga in a coupe.
Listen to ZZ Top and like love what's her name? What is her? Amy Schumer movies. Like, I could do all that, right? Like, never. Who is this DMX? Who, I could do all that.
Yeah,
it don't matter.
Yeah,
none of that matters, man. None of it matters because at the end of the day, I don't have to. And that's the thing I always say. No disrespect to our brothers and sisters who are LGBTQ, because they have a struggle that's different and that's constant as well. But I always say to them, at the very least, for 5 seconds, you could fucking pretend and maybe pass. Ain't no pretending for me. Ain't no pretending. Like, this is it. This is it. Like,
that's facts.
All right, that's going to do it for us today. Thanks again to our special guest, Elite. Thank you, Blk Tray, Big Waz, Mariano making his return, and Big Jerv. Thank you, Rob Lopez, on the production. And thank you to you, the listeners, for subscribing, for rating, reviewing, unsubscribing, resubscribing, all that good stuff. And again, patreon.com/countthedings. We have an overflow episode coming out. We're going to talk about Snowfall, Kyrie. It's a lot of fun. You want to be a subscriber, patreon.com/countthedings. And finally, to all my Muslim brothers and sisters, happy Ramadan, Ramadan Kareem. Let's get it. 30 days. We're going strong.